Hi, I'm Nigel Crowther from WDG Technical Sales, and I'm going to show you an asset which I've created which connects a WDG bot to IBM personal communications to allow you to access these systems easily using native IBM personal communications macros. These macros allow you to record your keystrokes within the terminal emulator itself. So it makes it very easy to create macros and then connect these macros with WDG to use the power of both products. So what I've got here is a design of the bot. So you can see here there's a timer. So this bot is going to be a scheduled bot, and the schedule will run every, say, 15 minutes. It will read an inbound queue which contains commands to either create, update or delete a user from a Z system. If there's no data in the queue, it obviously stops and waits for the next timer. If there is data in the queue, the bot will access the vault credentials, the WDG vault, which contains the credentials for the Z system. Once it's fetched the credentials, it will open the IBM Personal Communications terminal and then run a macro to log in using these credentials. And once it's logged in, it will read through each entry in the queue and process the command. The command can either be an update user, to create user, or delete user. And in the demonstration I'm going to show you in a minute, it's updating a user, and then once it's updated the user, the results are fetched back out of the macro and then written to the outbound queue. The result can either be a success or failure. If failure, then the operator can either retry and pass it back to the inbound queue, or the operator can investigate and fix the issue. So now that we've seen the design in BlueWorks Live, I'm going to show you the bot actually running. So what we see here is the IBM Personal Communications terminal emulator, and I've just started the WDG in debug step mode. So we're stepping through connecting to the queue to pick up commands to either add, update or delete into the terminal. We're launching the attach window to attach to the terminal emulator, and I can see it's running commands to log in, to run a macro to log into the terminal emulator. We're just delaying a little bit to make sure it all works, and now we're attaching the window. We're passing in the credentials to the system called IMS. We're now using those passed in credentials into the terminal emulator session. We're selecting option 2, which is to add a user, and now it's going to pause and then run a second macro which is going to add a user. So we're iterating through the entries in the queue. We're finding the first entry, and this entry contains a user to add. So we're connecting to the terminal again. We're running the macro, which in this case is add user, and now we're waiting for a dialog box to appear, and this dialog box is the way of entering data from the WDG bot into the macro. And you can see here we're entering data for John Doe, which is the data just read from the queue earlier. Once we've added all the data into there, it's now fed into the macro, and the macro very quickly adds the user to the screen. So all the code I've demonstrated is available on GitHub. Simply access the URL here, which I'll post a link at the end of this presentation. Once you've accessed the GitHub, you can download the code. It's essentially 2 folders. There's a folder for the macros to log into the system, add a user, and then log off. And then, of course, there's the WDG bot itself, which is this one here. And then there's also the bot to add data to the queue, which will add users to the queue, and also dequeue users to see what the problems are, if there are any. And that's it. So check it out and give me feedback.